Hello, in this lesson we're looking at solving square roots and other radical equations. Our essential question is, how can you solve equations involving roots? Solving a square root equation may require that you square each side of the equation. This can introduce extraneous solutions. To solve a radical equation, first, isolate the radical on one side of the equation. Then, raise each side to the power suggested by the index. Solve the polynomial and make sure to check for extraneous solutions. In this example, we are solving 3 plus square root of 2x minus 3 is equal to 8. Step 1. Isolate the square root by subtracting 3 on both sides. We now have the square root of 2x minus 3 is equal to 5. Square both sides to get rid of the square root. To get 2x minus 3 is equal to 25. Add 3 on both sides to get 2x is equal to 28. Solve for x by dividing by 2 on both sides to get 28 divided by 2, which is equal to 14. Before we can say x is equal to 14, let us check our work. 3 plus the square root of 2 times 14 minus 3, is that equal to 8? When we simplify, we get 3 plus the square root of 28 minus 3, which 28 minus 3 is 25. Square root of 25 is 5, and 5 plus 3 does equal 8. So our solution is x equals 14. In this example, we are asked to find the solution of 3 times the fifth root of x plus 1 cubed plus 1 equals 25. Start by subtracting 1 on both sides, and we get 3 times the fifth root of x plus 1 cubed is equal to 24. Isolate the root by dividing both sides by 3 to get the fifth root of x plus 1 cubed is equal to 8. One of the ways that we can isolate the quantity x plus 1 is to raise both sides of the equation to the power of 5 and then take the cube root of it. Another way that I can isolate the quantity x plus 1 is to first write it as a rational exponent. As a rational exponent, the fifth root of x plus 1 cubed can be written as x plus 1 to the power of 3/5. Now, I need to get my exponent to equal 1. To do this, I need to multiply this exponent by its reciprocal, which is 5/3. If I multiply the left side by 5/3, I also need to multiply the right side by 5/3 to balance out my equation. 3/5 times 5/3 is 1, which leaves us with the quantity x plus 1. 8 to the power of 5/3 can be written as the cube root of 8 raised to the power of 5. When I evaluate the cube root of 8, I get 2, and 2 raised to the power of 5 equals 32. So I have x plus 1 is equal to 32. Solve for x by subtracting 1 on both sides, and I get that x is equal to 31. Check our work. This 3 times the fifth root of 31 plus 1 cubed plus 1 equal 25. 31 plus 1 is 32. 32 cubed is 32,768. The fifth root of 32,768 is 8. 3 times 8 is 24, and 24 plus 1 is equal to 25. So our solution is x equals 31. For this example, we are to find the solution of the square root of x plus 7 minus 5 equal x. Start by adding 5 on both sides to isolate the square root, and we get that the square root of x plus 7 is equal to x plus 5. Get rid of the square root by squaring both sides. Square root of x plus 7 squared gives me x plus 7. X plus 5, the quantity squared, is basically x plus 5 times x plus 5, which when I multiply it gives me x squared plus 10x plus 25. This is a quadratic that I need to write in standard form so that I can solve for x. To do that, subtract x and 7 from both sides to get x squared plus 9x plus 18 equals 0. I can either use the quadratic formula to solve this, or I can factor. To factor, I need two numbers that multiply to a positive 18 and add to a positive 9. These two numbers are positive 6 and positive 3. So the factored form of x squared plus 9x plus 18 is x plus 6, x plus 3, and that is equal to 0. Solve each factored form for x, and we get x is equal to negative 6 and x is equal to negative 3. Check our work. At x equals negative 6, does the square root of negative 6 plus 7 minus 5 equal negative 6. Negative 6 plus 7 is positive 1. The square root of 1 is 1. 1 minus 5 does not equal negative 6, which means x equals negative 6 is an extraneous solution. Now let's check at x equals negative 3. Does the square root of negative 3 plus 7 minus 5 equal negative 3? Negative 3 plus 7 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 minus 5 does equal negative 3. So x equals negative 3 is our solution to this equation. In this equation, we are to solve the square root of 2x plus 1 minus the square root of x equal 1. Start by separating the radicals. So I am going to add the square root of x on both sides. To get the square root of 2x plus 1 is equal to 1 plus square root of x. Square both sides of the equation. Square root of 2x plus 1 squared is going to be 2x plus 1. 1 plus square root of x squared is 1 plus square root of x times 1 plus square root of x. When I multiply it, I get 1 times 1, which is 1. 1 times square root of x, which is square root of x. Square root of x times 1 is square root of x. And then square root of x times the square root of x is basically square root of x squared, which leaves us with just x. Add our like terms, which is the square root of x plus the square root of x, and we get 1 plus 2 square root of x plus x. From here, I want to isolate this 2 square root of x. To do that, I am going to subtract 1 and x from both sides to get x is equal to 2 square root of x. I still have a square root which I need to get rid of. To do this, I need to take the square of both sides again. Remember to distribute the square with both terms inside this parentheses. So we end up with x squared is equal to 2 squared times the square root of x squared. Simplify to get x squared is equal to 4x. This is a quadratic, so we rewrite this in standard form by subtracting 4x on both sides. Since I have an x in common for both terms, I'm going to factor out an x to get x times the quantity x minus 4, and now I can solve for x. Set each factor equal to 0 to get x equals 0 and x equals 4. Check. At x equals 0, does the square root of 2 times 0 plus 1 minus the square root of 0 equal 1? 2 times 0 is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, square root of 1 is 1, and 1 minus 0 does equal 1. So x equals 0 is a solution to this equation. Let's also check at x equals 4. Does the square root of 2 times 4 plus 1 minus the square root of 4 equal 1? 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 4 is 2, and we're left with 3 minus 2, which does equal 1, which means that x equals 4 is also a solution to this equation. All right, that's it from me. I'll see you all soon.